How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to another recap video for Cisco Live 2024. Today is day 3, Tuesday. If I sound a little hoarse, that's because I feel like I've been talking all freaking day. So today it was action packed. I'm actually gonna set my phone out. Yes, I completely did wear a Cisco certified CCDE shirt today. Why not? I'm at Cisco Live. I'm gonna be that guy. No shame, actually. So this morning was a 5G evolution and architecture series. Really, really good stuff. So it's something that I've never actually taken the time to dig into. I have just a very high level basic understanding of radio access networks or RANs and things like that. So my goal is to start I'd like to start digging into that more. I've got a list of sessions that I'm going to be watching once I get back home, and I've got some downtime just to go through because I find it a fascinating topic to go through. But so there was that piece, and then in the afternoon, I did post that I would be around the AWS booth because I wanted to meet a couple of folks I posted online. So Brandon Carroll and DeJuan Lightfoot. I was able to finally meet those two guys in person for the first time, which was awesome to meet them. Once that was done, it was almost ironic that some folks that I used to work with were at live, and they came up and we were able to chit chat, as well as a couple of folks that follow me online and things like that. So I was able to meet up with them, and it was finding easier if I tell people where I'm going to be at so they can, try to coordinate. So I don't know how tomorrow's going to look. I'm going to play it by ear, but I do still have some sessions that I still have to get to, and I've got to commit time to. So those are going to be in the morning, and stuff like that. I will be at the Elton John concert tomorrow for the Cisco Live celebration. So I will be there for that. I'm just trying to recap the day in my brain real quick. Tonight was while I was at live today, and I had some folks walk up to me, and we were able to chit chat for a lengthy period of time. And I always like having those conversations and things like that, and those are always good to have. I ended up we went and down by the social hub, and one of the guys that walked up to me, he mentioned that CBT Nuggets was going to be at the social hub, so he and I walked down there, and we were able to, we were just chit chatting with some of the instructors there. So there was Keith Barker, Jeff Kish, and a couple of other guys that I wasn't as familiar with from the instructor side, but I was able to chit chat with Keith for a little while and with Jeff and things like that. So it's always good to chat with other instructors in the industry and things like that. So it was good times, good conversation. It's actually kind of funny. I was messing around with Keith a little bit, and but he's that kind of guy. You can mess around with him a little bit. He's got that happy-go-lucky kind of personality, and the one thing that I find interesting is the way he is in his videos online is the exact same way he is in real life. So if you feel like he's just a down-to-earth, personable person, that's literally how the guy is. I've had the privilege of meeting him a few times now in the past, and it actually kind of funny. When we were meeting with him at the social hub, I said, "You and I actually, it's our like third or fourth time meeting," and he's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "You look sort of familiar," but I said, "I probably blend in with everybody else. Every 5'10", 170-pound looking dude that's walking around Cisco Live. We all pretty much look the same." So I made the comment. I said, "Do you remember 2019 at the CCIE party in San Diego at the Aircraft Museum?" And he goes, "I remember being there." I said, "I walked up to you and asked you if you remembered me, and you looked at me dead square in the eyes and says, 'No, I'm sorry, I don't.'" We both laughed because it was I mean, just the amount of people that know who he is versus the amount of people that know who I am pales in comparison. Nor would I, not that I'm trying to get up to his level of uh, being as well known as he is, but it's just one of those things where, he I don't expect him to remember me, and but it was kind of cool to be able to chit chat with him for a few minutes and things like that, and he's a very animated person, and to be honest with you, that's one of the things that a lot of people like about him, myself included. So he's down to earth, explains things simply, and things like that. So we had a couple of good chuckles and things like that. It was just a good time to meet with somebody and stuff like that. So um, I went back to my hotel room after that because I had been standing on my feet for probably the last 4 hours. A little bit of downtime before we went for the CCA party. The colleague that I'm here with, he and I, we met for dinner, and then we went to the CCA party. He's a 4-digit IE. He's got a 25-year ribbon. So I'm actually a little jealous of him, to be honest with you, because he's been an IE a lot longer than I've been. But we, met up, and it was cool. The IE party was at the Skybox bar on top of the Virgin Hotel, and it was a good time. And it just happened to work out that I happened to be standing in just outside the bar, and it was shortly after we got there. The CCI agent himself, E-Man, I happened to catch him and his wife. We were sitting there chit-chatting for a little while, and then some other folks walked up, and before I knew it, there was a whole bunch of people that we were. It was probably 4 or 5 of us in a group chit-chatting. You guys all know who you are. I'm not going to name drop anybody here, but it was a good conversation with a lot of folks, and to be honest with you, it was cool to be able to talk about passes, fails, what exam are you going after, stuff like that, tech talk, things like that. I was actually my wife came as my guest, and like she always does. And what was funny was there was like in the reflection I could see over my shoulder, I could see her in the reflection, and what looked to be like Wendell Odom from behind. Because if you've been to the Cisco store or been through Cisco live a few times, you probably have seen him hanging out at the Cisco store. And so I said, hold on, I gotta go talk to my wife real quick. So I put my hand on Wendell's shoulder and looked at my wife and said, do you have any idea who it is you're talking to? And she's like, yeah, his name's Wendell. And because everybody's got their badge. And so I go, yeah, it's not just Wendell. This is the guy that wrote the CCNA book that I read like 100 times. And so he looked at me, smiled, he goes, yeah, I know who you are. And so we shook hands, took a photo. We were able to chit chat with some other folks. Brandon Carroll was hanging out with his wife, and it was just a good time. There was probably 5 or 6, no, it's probably more like 8 or 10 other people that between the two groups that we were floating between, hanging out, talking, stuff like that. It was a good time. Definitely, it was a little tight, the venue itself, with the amount of people that they had, but just being able to hang out with a bunch of other CCIEs and stuff like that, it was a good time. And so beyond that, that was that. Good time. I'm looking forward to doing it again in the future. And so the common question today was, what are you going to do now that you've passed the DE written? And so I'll take a few minutes and kind of talk a little bit about my game plan. So first thing that I'm going to go do, and I got to give a shout out to Andrea Boneschi. I think that's how you say his last name. He took his DE written today and passed, so I was really happy for him that he was able to do that. So shout out to you, dude. And then a student of mine was able to walk up, Matt Rich, and he and I were able to have a lengthy conversation and stuff like that. So Always good to catch up with folks like that. So the common question that I got today with Andrea passed his DE written. Matt is looking at going into design because his position has changed. Um, and then there was a couple of other guys that were there that were they like the idea of design of the CCDE and they're giving it some serious consideration. And I was so we were talking about exam strategy and what we're planning on doing. And um, excuse me, I just had a snack after we got back from the party as I was famished. Um, so the big thing was going through and my plan is to take the Cisco Certified Design Professional, the concentration exam for enterprise, and I'm going to go through the blueprint and I'm going to lab all the different technologies up. And the other thing that I'm going to do is um, so Andrea brought up a really good point, and I hadn't thought of it, but he asked me, "What are you going to do?" He's like, "You can record a video on a particular topic, and then post it to YouTube, and then you get your people comment and things like that. But like, what if somebody has a different opinion of yours, and they had to like lay out a multi-paragraph response and they don't agree with your line of thinking or the direction you would go with the design?" um, and I was like, that's a good question, I don't know. um, so what I probably would do is for those folks there I would probably start doing once I get more into the meat and potatoes towards the end of the year, Q4, Q1, Q2 2025, is have some sort of um, meeting tool, like a Microsoft Teams call, that would have a group of people that are interested in doing design preparation, whether you're going after CCNP design, or if you're looking for going after CCDE for the written exam, whatever your design goals are. Um, that's to me really requires some sort of collaboration tool between the people that are in the group, and you need to be able to collaborate with other folks in the area because or in that are going after it at the same time that you are. Because if you are, it's not like if you're studying or going after uh, like an Encore or an RC or a CCNP service provider or data center, or you're studying ACI, where you've got the specific information in front of you and things like that. There are um, there's aspects to it where you really need a group discussion and collaboration because you might have scenarios where, um, for example, I'll keep a high level question. You got a full mesh of MPLS VPNs, and you need to be able to provide encrypted transport between all those sites. Um, your 4 out of your 3 responses are VPN options. So again, we got full mesh and going over MPLS VPN. So would you A, use DMVPN, B, use Get VPN, or would you use C, site to site VPN? So um, all 3 technically would work. So if the answer to your question or to the question is it depends, that would be a good first response. But then on what? And you'd have to start getting into the specifics. And what are the design pros and cons for each? Why would you go one way or the other? And actually, it's kind of funny because I posed this question to the 4 or 5 of us that were in that group, and most of us said that we would probably go the Get VPN route. And it's and we all basically had the exact same responses. But the reason why I think it's important to lab the technology up is if you've never dove into Get VPN or you don't have a solid security IPsec VPN background through site to site, DMVPN, Get VPN, SBTIs, things like that, you're going to run into problems if you're looking at taking the NP design or the CCDE written. There's a probably 10 or 15 questions on VPN that I can remember, and so it's a lot of information, and you have to be able to provide justification for the reason why you're going the way you are. And because design is so subjective, the the thing that I found was technically all three of those options were valid, and they could have been the right way to go, but you could definitely dig into it in much more detail. Like if it was a customer meeting, then you would have to start digging into, okay, what are the customer's capabilities? Are we managing it? Are they managing it? Are we going to be one and done? Once we're deployed, we've wiped our hands of it. It's in their hands. There's too many unanswered questions and too many variables just based off the way I worded the question for anybody to give me a definitive answer and specific reasons why. Because I can't answer the question. I mean, I know the difference between DMVPN, GetVPN, and point-to-point VPNs, right? I can do that all day long. I can break all that down, and for the most part, mine is GetVPN, where I would still need to do some configuration review to remember how to implement it, get it working. So it's one of those things where, as you're looking down the design track, you have to be able to provide justification. So, and that to me is where the collaboration piece comes into play. And then you would have to have conversations with the customer to figure out what it is, the direction they're going, and things like that. So, my goal is to lab up all the different topics that are on the exam blueprint and go through them from a technical perspective so I can remember how they work. I know that DE practical is not an implementation exam. You get a set of criteria that you have to be able to design for. And again, I haven't spent enough time on that to really know the specifics as to what would be required of me, but I do have some reading to go do. And I also mentioned that I'll be reading the CCDE V3 OCG. I'll be going through that, because it's another reference for it. And Zig Zigga happens to be a friend of mine. And then on top of that, Orhan Ergun, I'll throw his name out there, has a really comprehensive CCDE V3 self-paced video series on his website. And I'm currently a member, and I'm going through his content to get prepared for it. So between labbing up all the different technologies and watching his videos to try to to take the deep dive for design, those are the areas I'm going to be working on and trying to get better in. So it's a lot of preparation, it's a lot of work, and probably, if I had to guess, it'll be maybe next year before I take the practical and give it a crack. But it's one of those things where I think it's going to be a 2-attempter, meaning that I'm going to have to take one attempt just to see what the DE practical looks like, but I'm going to be using the exam topic breakdown, going through all the individual topics, labbing them up to reinforce my understanding, and then going through the video series and the book and documentation and things like that to brush up on those things. I'm feeling like a combination of those study resources and that attack methodology is probably going to be what's going to be required for me to be able to successfully attack the DE. So that's my goal. Is it the right way? I don't know, but it's the direction I'm going. So if you guys have any feedback for me, let me know in the comment section. I'm happy to dig into that type of stuff and come up with a game plan as to how we go about doing that thing. But I'm looking forward to what's coming in the future. And with that being said, I want you guys thanks for stopping by, hanging out with me. If you're going to be at the Cisco Live on Wednesday or Thursday, if you see me, stop me, say hi. Until next time, guys, You guys all have an awesome rest of your week, and I'll catch you in the next one.